Hi everyone, coming at you right from the den, I am Siddharth and welcome to Redfox Security channel. Whether you're just starting in cybersecurity or looking to level up or just curious about cybersecurity, you're at the right place. At Redfox, we prioritize hands-on learning with 70% practicals and 30% theory, ensuring you gain real-world skills. Our team has worked on hundreds of real-world engagements and we offer pen testing services across various domains of cybersecurity. We also provide courses and trainings at academy.redfoxsec.com. Find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and all the socials. Now, getting to today's discussion, we are going to talk about malware analysis. So, as we know that the internet is riddled with malware. And we have defensive solutions like Windows Defender and EDRs who catch malware in a matter of seconds, right? But for more complex malware, which sometimes Defender does not catch, or EDR does not catch, or it catches it at a later stage, we have malware analysts who sit down and dissect the detected malware and who sit down and understand what the malware was actually doing so that they can understand that what actually happened to the infrastructure after there was a breach or an incident, right? It is an important part of an incident response. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do some static analysis on a malware sample that I have created using a very popular framework. We're not going to touch dynamic analysis today. We can do that in a later video. Comment down below if you want some dynamic analysis on this same binary. Getting to static analysis is essentially just looking at a portable executable and how it looks on the disk and trying to deduce if it has any malware or malicious tendencies or not. Right? So for that, there is this amazing tool. It's called PE Studio, and it has a free version and a pro version. We're going to be using the free version because even that is a very powerful tool, all in all. So you can download it from this URL that I've just shown to you, and let's get to PE Studio and let's dissect some malware, right? So the sample that I have saved is this malicious.exe. So PE Studio performs a lot of different kinds of analysis on a lot of sections of the portable executable and tries to grab a lot of strings and tries to fit rejects, right? And it creates it gives you a dashboard which you can see right now, and it will populate it with more data. It gives us an overview of what the portable executable does, right? And it has finished its analysis, and we can clearly see this is a 34-bit executable, and the signature and tooling is of Visual Studio 2005. So that's pretty old, and the compiler stamp is also very old at 2010. You will find that frameworks and like older malware which has been recompiled or redistributed often has very old dates on it, especially if it's something like a Delphi compiler. Then I think it has the compilation date of 1995. So that is something you can look out for. Other than that, PE Studio does this amazing thing. It compiles all the indicators in this section right here. So it ranks all the indicators that it has found based on the severity of what it thinks. Like, for example, this section, the signature of the binary, PE Studio thinks that it is very, very high priority, that we need to look at this first, right? So it ranks it down like that. Moreover, there are some sections which have the executable permissions, this .rgnk, which is also self-modifying. So if we take a look at it, it takes us to the sections tab, and what we can see here is that apart from .text, there is another section called .rgnk, which has write, execute, and self-modifying permissions, right, or characteristics. Ideally, only .text should have the execute characteristics, because that has the actual executable code. .r data has the constant and non-stack based variables, and any other sections, if they are executable, it usually raises a flag, right? And the fact that it is write, self-modifying, and execute is an even bigger flag, because this is some of the characteristics that self-injection type of malware often have, right? Because what happens is that the malware writes some data into this section and then executes it. So that is something which we can look out for. We can keep in mind that this binary might be doing some sort of a self-injection. Moving to other indicators, we see a mention of virtual alloc. If you have done any malware development, you would know that if you want to do some sort of process injection or self-injection or any sort of injection, virtual alloc is something that we use a lot, right? And if we go to imports, we see that there are only 2 imports, which is peculiar for a binary this size. But we have just 2 imports, out of which one is virtual alloc, which does memory allocation. And the technique is also mentioned that process injection is often done using this. We also have another import which is grouped as execution. So if we just look at this, we can think that it allocates some memory, maybe puts in some shellcode and executes it somehow, right? Either way, we'll just keep these things in mind. These are all deductions. These are not solid proofs that the malware is doing something. We're just deducing. Moving on, we have a section called strings, where now this is a very, very fun section. Basically, all the human readable strings are extracted from the binary, and then again, PE Studio flags them and ranks them based on different criteria, right? So for example, if we take a look at all the strings that were flagged, which were flagged by PE Studio, then we see that there are a lot of mentions of, these look like function names: open thread token, internet open, add mandatory ACE, impersonate lockdown user. And if we go on the internet and we search this up, these are all Win32 API calls, right? So we see mentions of so many Win32 API calls, but we don't have any of them listed in the import section, right? We just have 2. So why would that be? And we can figure that out by looking at the location. This is in .rgnk. Revisiting the sections, .rgnk had write, execute, and self-modifying permissions. We had already flagged this section as being, suspicious, and now we see a lot of Win32 API call function names being listed here. So another thing that we can note is that the file ratio is very heavily skewed towards .rgnk, which should not happen. Like, most of the executable data is in .txt. Any variable should be in .r data. What is this section doing, right? So this creates a flag, this raises red flags, and we're going to take care of that. We're going to keep that in mind. Other than that, when we look at these API calls, we can kind of figure out what it's trying to do, what it might try to do, right? Impersonate lockdown user is something which impersonation attacks use, right? Then there are some which are grouped as recon: get current process ID, get address information, free address information. Then there is this set of API calls which interact with the internet: internet open, internet close handle, HTTP open request, HTTP send request, query information, open request, send request, receive response. So all of this signifies that whatever is there in this section .rgnk is trying to perform some sort of an HTTP communication, right? And we also have virtual alloc listed here. We have some NT API listed here, virtual alloc X, write process memory. We also have open thread, create thread pool timer, and whatnot, right? So if you've been doing some kind of malware development, or if you have been doing some malware analysis, you know that these are the API calls that you have to look out for, right? Because I can list out the actual chronology of how things work, right? For example, we have virtual alloc, and then we have write process memory, and we also have create remote thread. This is the chronology used to do injections, right? And all of these APIs are here. So that's why it has been flagged by PE Studio, and that's why we need to make a mental note that, or write it down if you want, that all this needs to be taken care of, or considered while triaging this malware. Other than this, we can also list it by label, right? This is also some very interesting things, because we have a label of DOS message twice here. Ideally, every portable executable should have one DOS stub. This is a legacy stub which enables you to, basically it's a legacy stub which makes sure that if you run this binary in DOS mode, it tells you that this program cannot be run in DOS mode. Okay, and this is a characteristic of almost every portable executable. Every portable executable, you'll see this string in the DOS stub. But here we see this string twice, once in the DOS stub and once in the .rgnk. Now, what this makes me deduce, right, is that there is another portable executable within rgnk, which has the actual malicious code, and .txt is .text is just a wrapper which triggers whatever is there in .rgnk, right? This is all deduction, right? But slowly it's making more sense. We're doing some sort of an injection. We have an embedded binary, and moving down we have these strings mentioning pipes, which is probably used for some sort of inter-process communication, and we have these mentions of DLLs. Now note that there are so many DLLs mentioned here, .rgnk. Now this is for the second binary, the embedded binary. The original binary is only importing kernel 32, nothing else. So if we just look at what this binary does, is it imports, or the library it uses is kernel32.dll, but strings tells us that there is another binary in the .rgnk section which has more libraries being used, and those are listed here, right? We also have mentions of HTTP verbs which solidify our deductions. And moreover, we have this very interesting URL pattern, which is for http://malicious.c2.com:8080 and then a directory, whatever that is, and a user agent which seems sort of docile and generic. So what we can deduce from everything that we have found till now is that this binary is doing some sort of process injection or self-injection, some sort of injection. It has an embedded binary which is hiding a lot more Win32 API calls and the use of libraries. It is doing some sort of an HTTP communication, and since there is only one URL mentioned here, we can deduce that this is the URL where all the HTTP communication happens with, or where the HTTP requests are sent to, right? So this is more or less what we can deduce from here, and that this is a 64-bit binary. What we can also do is run some tools on it, right? There is this tool called Kappa. It's made by Mandiant for malware analysis triage. It basically lists out the capabilities of a portable executable. And when we run it against our binary, we see that, as we suspected, there is an embedded portable executable file in it. right? So all our deductions have been on point. And yeah, the architecture, format, OS, whatever, we have deduced things correctly. If we run binwalk on this, right, and analyze the binary on its own, we find that we have two headers for the portable executable, again mentioning or signifying that we have two executables here, not just one, and we have a copyright string. Now if we just take this copyright string and Google it, in the context of malware, we find some links, out of which there is one called Metasploit Payloads C Meterpreter and the license. Now this is something which just clearly gives the malware away. We can write a Yara rule for a few things, this copyright, and if it has two DOS stubs, right? And we can probably catch something like this. Writing Yara rules may be a little more complicated, but we can start off that way. But we can see that just that single copyright string has led us to Meterpreter. Now, if we just talk about payloads that Metasploit deals with, we can, on a very high level, deduce that the payload used here was Windows x64 reverse Meterpreter reverse HTTP, because we're calling back to a URL. And we've done all that without actually running the binary and seeing what it actually does. Right? Now this is a very high level deduction. We can never be sure. We can be as close to sure as possible with this kind of a methodology, but we would have to do proper dynamic analysis to solidify our deductions. However, this goes from being malicious.exe to be triaged as a Meterpreter payload. And as you can see that all these things can be very easily automated, right? And that is probably what Windows Defender does. It has some sort of a pipeline where it just throws a portable executable, and if it filters a certain way, just like what we did here, if we automate all that, it can probably triage this malware in a matter of seconds, right? But knowing how to do this manually comes in clutch when you have malware which Windows Defender does not classify properly. So that is all about the static analysis of this particular binary. What we have in mind more is doing some sort of a dynamic analysis on the same, right? But for now, we can conclude the session here with the completion of the static analysis. So guys, at Redfox Academy, we don't just teach, we prepare you for the real world with hands-on learning and insights from experienced professionals. Ready to take the next steps? Explore our courses. We have a plethora of courses at academy.redfoxsec.com. Go, just browse, explore, see what you like, and let us know. We are always here to help you out. If you have any other budding malware analysts in your surroundings, you know somebody who might like this, do share this video with them. And comment down below if there is some topic or subtopic or niche that you want us to target with our instruction videos, right? If you really like our videos, please subscribe to our channel. Your cybersecurity journey starts here. Let's learn with Redfox.